ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोर्श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरकृष्णे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, 5th chapter, verse number 45. These are prayers by the material elements or the presiding deities of the material elements, and these are prayers for creation, because the elements were not able to combine with each other and produce the world. These are elements which were produced first before the universe came into existence. Means this is the raw material, and they were not able to combine to make the planets. So then the devas or the deities of the elements, they prayed to the Lord, and they are praying to Lord and explaining their inability, and they have basically made a point that it's only surrender to the Lord that one makes powerful enough to achieve perfection in life, because they also want to serve the Lord but they are unable to do it without the grace of the Lord. So bhakti, although it is supposed to be our constitutional position to serve the Lord, but we cannot do it unless we have the grace, because bhakti is not in the living being to begin with, and it has to be acquired, and since it has to be acquired, then we need the grace of somebody who has it, because bhakti is nitya siddha. Nitya siddha Krishna prema sadhya kavuna. Nitya siddha means which exists already. It is not something which we manufacture or which we get by our endeavor. When we perform some activity, then there are 4 results of that. Either we acquire something, we give up something, we change something, or we modify, or what you call increase the characteristics. These are the outcomes of the activities. Suppose you want to cook, Then when you want to cook something, if you cook rice, that means you are basically changing the rice from hard to soft. That's what cooking of rice means. Or if you are making some soup, then you are changing their status. You can also modify things by adding some qualities. Or you move from one place to another place. Or you understand something. That is also part of moving, because you are moving from ignorance to knowledge. Or you drop something, you give up, you leave one place or you leave some object. So bhakti is not the outcome of any of these activities. It's not something which we can reach. It is not like a place that you chant so many rounds, then in so much time you will attain prema. There is no such rule. And why there is no such rule? Because it is not dependent on anything. Bhaktya samjayate bhakta. Bhakti comes only from bhakti, not from anything else. If you want to go to heaven, you can perform activities, attain piety, and by the strength of that piety, you can go to heaven. If you want to go to hell, then also you can do something and go there. But if you want to go to Vaikuntha, then it is not in our capacity. Only by bhakti, which comes by the grace of the Lord. So this is the point which they have made. And therefore the only thing we can do is be surrendered to the Lord. Without surrender it is not possible, and that is the essence of all Vedic literature. Whether it is sacrifice, or it is yoga, or it is mimamsa, or the ultimate purpose is to come to the point of surrendering to Krishna. That's why Krishna says that this is the most confidential knowledge. Because when you study the scriptures, there are so many things which are stated there, and they don't seem to be related with devotion directly. But if you analyze them, then they are also actually pointing towards devotion, either directly or indirectly, positively or negatively. So there is one story I read about a king whose name was Mandhata. He was ruling in Ayodhya. His name is also mentioned in Bhagavatam, if you have read, comes in 9th Canto. Anybody remembers this name Mandhata? No? He was born because his father did not have any progeny, so they did a sacrifice to get a son, the king. And they were in the forest. And at night the king became thirsty, so he got up and drank the water. And this was the water which was to be drunk by the wife, so that she will conceive by drinking. This was the water which was empowered by the chanting of the mantras by the priests. And next day the sacrifice was supposed to end, and then the ceremony was that the wife will drink this water and then she will conceive. But he drank it, and because he drank it, so he conceived.
Where did he come out from? Where did he come out from?
They have to do the cesarean. So the father, the king actually became pregnant. And then they have to take this baby out. But now the problem was that how he will survive, because the king does not have any milk. So at that time Indra also came there, because the sacrifice was being done, and then they chanted the mantras. Then Indra also appeared there, And when they were asking that what he will drink, so Indra, he put his thumb into the mouth of this baby and he says, Mam Dhata. Mam means me and Dhata means to suck. He said that he will suck my thumb. So that's why his name became Mandhata. So now also you see some kids sucking on their thumb. They are all Mandhatas.
And is sucking on the thumb, Mandhata?
Literally it means that he will suck my thumb. Mam means me and Dhata means, Dhatri is the nurse. But he said that I will nurse him, basically. That's what he said. So this Mandhata then later on became a very great king. And he was very pious and taking care of his people and doing sacrifices, charities. But he also became very proud. Because unless one is a devotee, one is bound to become proud. This is compulsory. Only a devotee is humble. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Amani Manade. He is Amani, naturally, because he understands. He realizes the situation that whatever is there is the grace of the Lord and there is nothing to be proud about. This does not mean that devotee is useless and has no power to do things, or he does not have any qualifications, but he is not proud of his qualifications. That's what humility means. Sometimes people think that not to have any qualification is humility. If we don't have any qualification, then how will we serve? To serve, we have to have the best qualification. And you see in our acharyas, they are very qualified people, but they are not proud. They were not going around debating with other people, although very learned. Vidya vivadaya dhanam madaya shakti paresham paripidanaya. When somebody has knowledge, he wants to debate whomever he meets. If somebody has wealth, becomes very proud, intoxicated. Intoxicants are of various types. You take intoxicants and go high. Wealth is also intoxicating. Like this Nalkumar and Manigriva, they were also intoxicated by wealth. And Shakti Paresham Paripiranaya. And if somebody is physically strong or has some political power, then they trouble others. So this is what happens in material world. But if somebody is a devotee, then Jnanaya Danaya Paropkaraya. If he has knowledge, then it is to give to others. If he has wealth, then he gives charity and helps. And if he has strength, then he protects Rakshana, then he protects others. So that is a devotee. So Mandhata also became proud. And proud can also happen due to good qualities. So there are also anarthas which come from good qualities. Duskrita anartha and sukrita anartha. There are anarthas which come from bad character. Anarthas can also come from good character if you become proud. So one day he was sleeping and he had a dream. And in the dream Devi appeared, because he was also worshipping Devi. And she said, sacrifice, Bali. So he got up in the morning, he called his pandits in the court and he had an assembly with them and he discussed about his dream, that what does this dream mean. So the astrologers, scholars, they said that this dream means that you should perform a sacrifice. And usually we think that you have to sacrifice something, some goat So the king said, okay, we should sacrifice a human being to please Devi. So where to get a human being to sacrifice? So he sent his people that try to find somebody, and if someone is ready to sacrifice, then I will give 100,000 gold coins to the family. So he thought maybe some old man will be ready, because if he sacrificed, the old man will go to heaven and the family will get 100,000 gold coins. It's a good bargain. But nobody came forward. So then he sent his ministers to get one. So one minister went to one family, and the father was very old and sick. So he asked the son that, why don't you give him for the sacrifice? You will get money. So the son refused. He says, how can I give my father? He is the one who gave me birth, he brought me up, and now just because he is old, I sacrifice him for the sake of wealth. So I will not do that. So he refused, then they went, everybody refused. And the king was getting worried that what is to be done. Because he was thinking that if he does not do the sacrifice, then Devi will become upset. So one day he went into the forest and he was thinking what to do. Then he saw one boy, young boy, in the forest. So he thought maybe I can get this boy to sacrifice. So he went to this boy and he asked him, what is your name? He said, Shiva. Says, what is your father's name? He said, Shiva. Says, what is your village name? He said, Shiva. So whatever question the king asked, he only said Shiva. So the king thought that this guy seems crazy and there is no harm in sacrificing him. So he caught him and he put him on the back of his horse and brought him to the kingdom. And then he gave him a nice room, nice food, nice dress, and he announced to the Brahmanas that you can prepare for the sacrifice and we should sacrifice this boy. So Brahmanas came, they inspected, because the person who has to be inspected, there are certain conditions which must be satisfied. One is that all the bodily limbs must be complete. If something is missing then, or something is extra, some people have 6 fingers, you have seen, and they cannot be sacrificed. So they saw him, he looks alright. Only thing is that when they talked to him, he was only saying Shiva. So the Brahmana said that he is not fit for sacrifice because he seems like mentally deranged and he cannot offer him. But the king, he wanted to sacrifice, so he gave the logic that actually he is not mentally deranged, he is only making a show so that we release him. It's like these days people murder, then they go to the court and they try to act as if they are crazy so that they don't get punished. So then the Brahmanas, they agreed that okay, if that is the case. Then they got ready, they did a sacrifice, and then king has to sacrifice the boy. Finally, when the final ahuti, the offering, oblation has to begin. So the boy is standing and the king is standing there with a sword in his hand just to chop off the head of this boy. And this boy is standing as if nothing has happened, like Jada Bharat in the story in Bhagavatam. So when the Brahmana chanted mantra and the king raised his sword, then immediately there was a big lightning in the sky, and Devi appeared, and she was angry. He says, "You fool, what are you trying to do? This boy is Dattatreya." Dattatreya, is incarnation of Vishnu. He was born to Atri. And you want to sacrifice him? I told you to sacrifice your ego. You are so proud. And I wanted you to sacrifice that instead of sacrificing your pride, you are trying to sacrifice this boy. So then the king came to his senses and he fell at the feet of Devi, asked for forgiveness. Of course, he also prayed to Dattatreya. So the point is that the purpose of all these sacrifices which we read in the scriptures is also to become a devotee. Sacrifice ourselves, not sacrificing goat and sacrificing this and sacrificing rice and sesame seeds and ghee. These things are meant to be utilized for making an offering to God. That's why Krishna stopped this Indra sacrifice. He says, what is this? You are going to make all these things burn in the fire. Why not make nice feast and offer and everybody can take prasad? What is the point in throwing everything into the fire? He was against it. So these are symbolic things, but we have to sacrifice our pride, our ego, ahankar, and become devotee. That is the real meaning of sacrifice. So that's what they are saying, and that's how Bhagavat begins in the very beginning. Vasudeva Paramakha, Vasudeva Paraveda, Vasudeva Paramakha, Vasudeva Paramjnana, Vasudeva Parakriya. That the purpose of sacrifice, purpose of yoga, purpose of ritualistic activities, charity, study of the Vedas, everything is to become a devotee of Vasudeva and not anything else. For that reason they are praying in this verse. It says, Panena te deva katha sudhaya pravriddha bhaktya vishadasaya ye vairagya saram pratilabdha bodham yathanjasan viyura kunthanishanyam. Says that, O Lord, that these devotees who were described previously, that they surrender to the Lord by hearing his katha, says Panena te deva katha sudhaya pravriddha bhaktya. That their bhakti, their devotion, their love increases by drinking the nectar of Lord's katha. So this hearing Krishna katha is very, very important. Just like we eat food every day to nourish our body, in the same way, hearing is very important to nourish our devotion. If we don't hear, unless we are very fixed devotees, we will become weak because of our past samskaras. And then slowly we can deviate. Or we can start concocting things and rationalizing our activities. Mind is very intelligent, clever. Then it starts rationalizing its materialistic activities and saying that actually this is for devotion. So hearing is very important so that we stay on track. And Bhagavatam talks about this many times, that how by hearing one gets strength. So this katha is like nectar, sudha. Sudha is like ambrosia, which ambrosia is something which you drink, then it gives you strength immediately. Like these days in West they have power drinks. They're very popular. But to drink them, they give you power. So many power drinks. So quickly. So this katha is like that. You hear it, it immediately charges your batteries. So it says, Panena te deva katha sudhaya pravriddha bhaktya. Pravriddha means increase. Then your bhakti becomes increased, vishad asya, and then your heart expands. Usually our hearts are contracted out of fear, anxiety, tension, or anger, envy, it becomes closed. So this lotus of the heart, it blooms by hearing Krishna Katha. And then Vairagya Saram, then you get the very essence of renunciation. Pratilabdhe Bodham, and you get Bodha, enlightenment. And there is enlightenment. So enlightenment comes by hearing. Either you hear the holy name or you hear the katha. In the beginning, hearing katha is very important. So you see Parikshit Maharaj, he became enlightened only by hearing. Arjuna also. So all the time in Bhagavatam we have meetings. Vidura is now talking with Maitreya, so he is also hearing. Parikshit and Sukdev, Sut Goswami and Saunaka Rishi and his associates. So all the time, then Kapil Dev will speak to his mother. There is always hearing, very important thing. So in 10th canto also, after speaking Krishna's confidential pastime, then Sukadeva Goswami says that anyone who hears this, then his heart will become purified and he will become a devotee of the Lord. And this disease of the heart will be dispelled just by hearing. So this is very, very powerful thing. And especially hearing Bhagavatam is very most powerful thing actually. Hearing this Bhagavatam. So he says then they get enlightened, and then what happens? Yatha anjasa anviyu akuntha dashana. Then very easily they go to that abode which is called akuntha dashana. It's another name for Vaikuntha. Kuntha means obstruction, obstacle. In this material world, we always have obstacles because the atmosphere here is not favorable for devotion. Devotee is not interested in going anywhere. He is not interested even in going to Vaikuntha. He wants to do devotional service. But then why devotees go to Vaikuntha? Because that is the place where they can do devotional service without any obstruction. They don't have to hide it from anybody. Here, you may like to do devotional service, then your family members are against it. Or your neighbors don't want if you start doing some little kirtan. Or at office, if you go, you cannot have your tilak there. So some problem is there always. But in Vaikuntha there is no such problem. That's why it is called Vaikuntha. Means no obstacle for doing devotion service. Because everybody is a devotee there. Non-devotees are not allowed. No visa for non-devotees. So he says that these people who have drank the katha, Krishna katha, then they easily get their visa. Anjasa means very easily. So Anjasa visa. And it is permanent visa. Don't have to take it again. Otherwise you get for 1 year, then you have to extend. Another headache. So he says permanent. No more again coming back into problematic. So this is called Akuntha Dhishanyam. Shunya means the place, and Akuntha means no kuntha, no obstacle. So they go there very easily. This is the easiest process. Because what can be more easy than hearing? If you have to do anything else, you have to talk, you have to see. Hearing, you just sit down. The ears are open. To seeing, you have to open your eyes. If you have to watch some movie or TV, at least you have to open your eyes. Here you can close your eyes. Still you will hear. So this is the easiest thing you can do. You see, God has made it so easy. So you can chant, you can close your eyes and you can chant and hear. You can hear from somebody else. You don't have to do anything. So that's why he says Anjasa is very easy, not hard work. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he comments, Bhakta yatha sadhan dasham arabhyaiva parama sukhina tatha jnanina sadhan dasam arabhyaiva param dukhina. It's a very important distinction which is being shown here in this verse and in the next verse. And this distinction is shown so that we don't deviate. People have the habit of shopping these days. Shopping is a very important function of human life now. And if you go to a shop, there is so much variety available that you actually get confused. Even if you want to buy, especially in the West, like simple thing like milk, you get confused which type of milk you have to buy. Because it is pasteurized milk, homogenized milk, milk with low fat, milk with medium fat, milk with vitamin D. Get so confused. Which one is that you have to take? So, like that in spirituality also, there is a lot of variety available now. Various types of yogas are available. So therefore he is showing that don't waste your time, because you get milk, then you drink, it doesn't suit your stomach, then you try the other one, because everything is not suitable to every person. So he is telling something which is suitable for everybody. That is the raw milk, as it is. It comes from the cow. Don't do anything, just boil it and take. It suits everyone. It's only because people have changed things, now some people get allergic to milk. So therefore Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that bhakti is very joyful, param sukhina, right from its beginning. Sadhan dasam arambhi, right from the beginning one starts practicing it. It is actually very joyful. If one, of course, one has to have some understanding and faith in it, then doing kirtan, doing deity worship, taking prasad, chanting, any of these activities, they are actually very joyful, because they are related with our inner self, they are related with our constitutional position. So one can immediately feel. And he says that as far as the path of jnana is concerned, if you know what jnana marg means, he says right from the very beginning, it is very painful, param dukkhi. Krishna also says this. Arjuna had asked this question in Bhagavad Gita, evam satatyukta ye bhaktastvām paripāsate ye chāpya aksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittama. Says, who is a better yogi between these two groups? Those who are worshipping you, evam satatyukta ye bhaktyastvam, with devotion. And the other one, those who are after the unmanifest, qualityless, avyakta akshara, imperishable Brahman. So Krishna was very clear that those who are worshipping me, they are better. And the other one, he said that klesho adhiktaraste sam avyakta shakta chet sam avyakta hi gatir dukkham deha vadhira vartate. He says those who are worshipping the unmanifest formless, qualityless Brahman, they get klesha, misery, from the very beginning. Dukkhataram, great misery, not just misery, it says dukkhataram means very great misery. So, adhiktarastesam, avyakta shakta chetasam. So same thing he is repeating, saying here. Bhakti jnanayor etavadeva antaram. Says this is the distinction between bhakti marg and jnana marg. The path of love and path of knowledge or impersonal realization. Because knowledge is again confusing. When people think that on bhakti there is no knowledge. But this path of impersonal realization and path of love for God, this is the major distinction. And this is described in these two verses. Vairagyasya saro brahma sayujya upari api balam yasmat tatha bhutam bodham pravriddha bhakti uttam. So Gyan Marg, this path of impersonal realization, is based on renunciation. Nobody can become a Jnani or Brahman realized without renouncing. It is impossible. One has to be completely renounced. But he says that in bhakti you get the very essence of vairagya, which means that you don't have to renounce, you become renounced. You don't have to leave things, things leave you. That is the real vairagya. It's not that you have to make a rule that I will not eat this and I will not do this and I will not look at this. Nothing like this. There are one type of sannyasis, they are called kukkut pada. Have you heard of this kukkut padas? Previously in India there used to be kukkut padas. Now they are not existing anymore. Kukkut means a hen. So if you have seen a hen walking, it jumps like this. So these kukkut padas, when they are walking on the street, they don't look up. They only look as far away as the distance it takes for a hen or a cock to jump when it's walking. So then they are called kukkut pada. Kukkut is hen and pada is feet. So they are steps. Because they are so afraid that if they look here and there, then they will get caught by Maya. So this is their fear. They have to be renounced. But devotees, they get the very essence of vairagya. They are not attached. For them, everything is Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Everything is Vasudeva, Krishna. So then, there is no fear. She can see Krishna everywhere. Then where is the problem? So that he says that is their strength, and that he says that this strength is even higher than having Brahman realization, oneness with Brahman. Tatha bhutam bodham, this is their enlightenment, because they realize something superior even to Brahman, that is Krishna. Pravriddha bhakti uttam bhagavan madhuri anubhava, the sweetness of Krishna is realized by them. Tasya balena prapya akuntha deshanyam vakuntha lokam iti Swami Sarana. So by that they go to Vakuntha and they reach the place without any obstacles. And these people are called here as Vishad Ashaya. Jiva Goswami, he translates this word. Literally Vishad Ashaya means large heart. Ashaya is heart. Like you hear this word Mahashaya, Narottam Mahashaya or Mahashaya Thakur Mahashaya. Mahashaya means big hearted. So but he says this Prajita Kaitava means these people who do not have any deceptive mentality. So the word used in the second verse of Bhagavatam, Dharma Prajita Kaitavotra Paramo Nirmat Saranam Satam. Because when we are existing in this material world and we are having desires, if that desire is not for devotion, then it is a deception. That is called cheating. And the reason is that God has given us this human body to become His devotee, not for anything else. Because if we want anything else, then He can give us other forms. Cats, dogs, monkeys, whatever you do other than devotion, you can also do in those bodies. There's nothing special about human body. There's more facility there to enjoy. Here people are suffering. To enjoy they have to go to school, college, study, job, then they make money, then they can think of enjoying. Animals can enjoy right after birth. They don't need any degrees. So human body actually is given only for becoming a devotee, attaining love of God. And if one is not doing that and having any other desire, then that is called deception. So large-hearted person, and that contracts your heart.
What contracts the heart, Baba?
Having other desires. And if the desire is for love, then you become Vishadasaya. And then you don't have any cheating. Because God is supplying us. If you live in somebody's house, that person is giving you food, water, paying your electric bill, water bill, telephone bill, internet bill. All these bills he is paying. And you don't acknowledge him. You even say that he does not exist. And you are very ungrateful. So God is giving us all these. He is paying all our bills. And if we don't acknowledge him, then we are cheaters. So that's why he says that these devotees, they are Vishadasaya, they are free from this mentality because they do everything for God's sake, because God is giving us everything. So for that reason he says that then they become qualified to go to Vaikuntha. Now in the next verse, he gives the example of the other people, those who do not take to devotion and they are following some other paths. What is their situation? So they are saying Tatha pare chatma samadhi yoga balena jitva prakritim balishtham swami dhira purusham vishanti tesham shramasatma tu sevayate. Says those other people who are following the path of yoga, etc., then they come to the state of samadhi, samadhi yoga balena. Samadhi is the last stage of yoga. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, dharana, dhyana, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So by the strength of samadhi, they transcend material nature. Jitva prakritim balishtham, this material nature which is very, very powerful. And they also enter in you, tvameva dhira purusham vishanti. Because these people don't want to do service, so they enter in the Lord. But he says, tesam shramasyat. They have to labor very, very hard. But natu sevayate. But not for other people, which were described in the previous verse, who are doing seva. For them there is no such problem. So this is the difference. And of course these people also have to take shelter of devotion, otherwise they will not become perfected in the yoga process. Even this samadhi is not possible without surrendering. Therefore, if you study Yoga Sutras, then Ishwar Paranidhana is one of the principles stated there. Even in the very first chapter of Yoga Sutra, Ishwara Pranidhanadava, when he is talking about yoga, chitta vritti nirodha, how to bring your mental modifications to an end, and he says you surrender to God. And so santosh tapas swadhyaya ishwar pranidhanani niyama. Again ishwar pranidhana, surrender to Ishwara. So without that, perfection in yoga is not possible. Only thing is that they are surrendering because they want perfection in yoga. and not that they really want to surrender. So in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna, in one place he says that nobody can transcend my Maya. Maya hi sadhu, Maya Devi hi sagunmayi, Mama Maya duratteya. But he gives the process how to transcend. He says, Mam chaya avyavicharena bhakti yogena sevata sagunan samtitetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. That even for Brahman realization one has to do bhakti yoga. Then only one can become free from the gunas which belong to Maya, otherwise not. So that is a lot of labor they have to do. So he says they also reach the Lord, but not the Vaikuntha. He did not say that they go to Vaikuntha. They attain the effulgence of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, Te prapnuvanti mameva sarva bhuta hite rata. Although he says that they have to face lot of trouble, lot of problem, but they also come to me engaged in the welfare of everybody. Sarva bhuta hite rata. So both go to Krishna, but both are not equal. Their processes are different. One is very joyful, another is very painful. And one has a personal relationship with Krishna, and the other has no relation, it is impersonal. So this is the distinction. And this distinction is being explained so that we don't labor hard like this, then finally we figure out that I really not interested in this. Atmani samadhir manastharyam saeva yoga upaya. So to attain perfection in yoga, which means samadhi, one has to make mind very stable. Mind has to be peaceful. Otherwise there is no question of meditation if mind is disturbed. So this, he says, is called Jnana Yoga. Yadva ashtanga yogatah tvam purusham vishanti tvai sayujyam prapnuvanti. Or here yoga can mean ashtanga yoga, the eight-limbed yoga, by which people enter into Purusha, which means they attain Sayujya Mukti. Out of 5 types of liberation, one is Sayujya, merging. Kintu tesham sramasyat. But they have to labor very hard. Tesam bhakti rahitya. Why? Because they really don't have devotion for the Lord. So this is also stated in the 10th canto. Shreya sritim bhakti mudasyate vibho klishyanti ye keval bodha labdha. Says that those who give up the path of bhakti, which is very auspicious and pleasing, then they attain only misery. So tesam sthula tushavaghati nam. They are just like beating the husk. Kleshala eva sishyate. And puraya bhuman bhavopi yogina. In other words, it says that many yogis have tried to achieve you. Bhaktim vina vastavam jnanam eva na syat kuto mukti. Actually, without bhakti, there is no possibility of jnana. Then how can one attain mukti? Because these people who want mukti, their philosophy is that rite jnanat na mukti. That without jnana, there is no mukti or liberation. And jnana here means jnana of oneness with Brahman. And this is not possible without bhakti. It is impossible. So without bhakti there is no jnana, and without jnana there is no mukti, so they cannot become liberated. Te param dukkhina eva. And therefore they are very miserable people. So we read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Lord Chaitanya met these Jnanis in Banaras, and he had debate with them. Then at night some of them came to him and they said that actually what you are saying is very right. We are very dry and bored with this Gyan Marg. So these days even these people, impersonalists, they talk of impersonalism, but they are all reading and hearing about Krishna Katha. Although they don't give up their attachment to impersonalism. And when they in the lectures, what else they can talk? So they draw big crowds by speaking about bhakti. Otherwise, in Gyan Marg, who wants to hear it? So tesam kleshal eva sishyate, their outcome is only klesha, nothing else. Yatha sthula tushavghatinam, as if you try to beat the husk, then what will happen? You go on beating, you are not going to get any rice, because rice has already been taken out of it. So you will only get blisters in your hands after some time. Jnanang bhakti sahitya tu sahijyam prapnuvanti eva. But if one performs sadhana of Gyan Marg, making bhakti as part of it, then such a person can attain Sahijya Mukti. But he also has to labor hard. Therefore it says, Kintu sadhana dasayam chitta ekagre artham upaya anveshana anusthanadishu sramaspashta eva. When he is performing his practice, then he has to again and again concentrate his mind, and this is very problematic. Sadhya dasayam tvadvashikara karanam premanam prapnuvadbhis tvadbhaktai prataktasya tvadpraveshasya grahanam eva niskarsha. And when they attain perfection, then what do they get? Then they get something which has been rejected by devotees. Because devotees never want Sahijya Mukti, or merging into God, or merging into Brahman. They don't want at all. So this which has been rejected by the devotees, this is their perfection. The perfection of Gyan Marg is that which is absolutely rejected by the devotees. Now if devotees are rejecting, it must be problematic, because devotees are doing joyful service, so they must reject something which is not joyful. So that's what they achieve. Sacha dukkhameva iti bhaktanam mate. So according to bhakta, the devotees, the Sahijya Mukti is also painful thing. Because a bhakta devotee wants to relate with the Lord, perform personal service, and for him just hanging in Brahma Jyoti is quite hellish, because there is no facility there to associate with anybody or do anything. Just like you are under house arrest, you are in your room, you cannot look outside, you cannot hear anything, you just stay there. So that's what it is. So when it is said that it is painful in perfected stage, because otherwise there is also talk of Brahman and the bliss of Brahman realization. So why it is called painful? Because devotees think it like that. Tadapi te dukkhina eva. So devotees say that they are suffering even there. Nanu parcharyadi bhir bhaktanam api samo anumiyate. Now the Jnani, he raises a doubt. He says, you are talking so much about bhakti, but bhakti means seva, and in seva also there is problem. Because you have to do seva, then it is also painful. It is why you are saying that we are suffering because we try to meditate and control our mind. You have to go to the temple early morning, Mangalarti. Sounds a problematic. So he says, what about that? So then he quotes the verse, because in the verse it says, Natu sevayate. It says in seva, there is no suffering. Because seva is done joyfully, otherwise it is not seva. If you are not doing it naturally from your heart with liking, then it is not seva, then it is work. Seva is you like to do it. The mother loves the baby, she does not feel problem in taking care of the baby, she loves it. She is very happy to take care of the baby. She never feels that this is a headache. So why? Because there is love for the baby. So in the same way, the devotee is very happy to do seva. His problem is if he does not get the seva to do. So therefore in Bhakti Marg we have the word seva sukh, the joy of doing service. Actually even materialistic people, they have the pleasure of doing service, they experience it. When they get opportunity to serve, then you feel joy inside. Because when you serve with good heart, then you drop the load of your pride. This pride, ego is a big burden on the head. And you can only serve by dropping that. If you are proud, you will not serve. Unless somebody is forcing you to serve, but then that is not service. That's why people that do job, they call it service, 5 days a week, then thank God it's a Friday. They have this TGIF in America. Thank God it is a Friday. So why they are saying it? Because they are doing service which actually they don't like. So now they are running away. Then the highways are jammed on Friday night. Like children in the class, when the class is off, then how they are running out, because it's like pressurized in that class, So in seva it is not like that. Seva you go on doing 24 hours, 7 days a week. You don't have off days in seva. And now I have done seva, now I have to go on a leave. So there is no leave. How can a servant have leave? Eternal servant. This is our constitutional position. We love to do it. So that's why the verse says, Natu sevayate. That in seva, this we should, I think we have all experienced it, and we experience that actually seva is very joyful. Atra taiva anubhavinah pramanam. So he says, what is the proof in this? Because you are just talking. So he says the proof is in the pudding. And the same. That you eat it and know it for yourself. So devotees are proof in it, because they experience doing service. No other proof is needed. Yatha sraminorapi stri purushayor na sramaha kintu srama apraptya eva srama तथा त्वद भक्तानाम प्रत्युत सेवया दैवाद अप्राप्त एव मनो दुख रूपो महाश्रम स्यादति भाव. It's a very nice thing, and this is writing from his own experience. So he says that when people are doing hard work and they get used to it, so when they get used to it, then they don't feel it problematic. It says, Sraminorapi, Stri Purushayor na Srama. Actually, if they don't get anything to do, then they feel bored and problematic. So he says, in the same way, Tvad Bhaktanam Pratyut Sevaya Devat Apraptaiva Mano Dukh Rupa Mahasam. That your devotees, this is the quality of a devotee, that somehow if a devotee does not get service, then he feels this is very painful. Because if a devotee is not getting service, then what is he going to do? He is going to do yoga practice or Gyan Marg practice? What is he going to do? Or karma? Devotee means one who has devotion. And if he has devotion, then he loves to do seva. And if seva is taken away from him or her, then this is most painful. So a devotee will always find service. No matter where he or she goes, nobody has to delegate this to him or her. They will love to do it. And those who are not devotees, they are trying to hide that. Why I am being asked? Why always me? No, that is not devotee's mood. So he says that for them the problem is if they don't get service. That is mahashrama. That is big pain. Atra shevaya tvam vishanti iti na yojaniyam. So he says, one should not try to misinterpret this verse that by doing service they enter into you. Because it was already said previously that they go to Vaikuntha. Anviyur akuntha dhishanyamiti purvaktena virodhat. Otherwise it will contradict what was said in the previous verse, that devotees they enter into the peaceful abode of the Lord. Nacha kuntham dhishanyam yasya tam tvam anviyuriti. Akuntha dhishanyam also means that a person whose intelligence is obstructed, he cannot come to you. Tatrapi vyakhyam visheshnasya apushtarthatvat. So he says this type of explanation is also not proper, because then it becomes an adjective. Grammatically it does not fit. Anviyuriti anugati arthak padopanyasasyapi vayarthak. So if you translate like this, then this meaning will also be useless when they say that they go. Because another is the vishanti, they enter, and here it says that they go. So there is a difference between going and entering. So this is to show the distinction between devotees and non-devotees. Stop.
What is the motive for this journey?
Becoming free from material miseries. People are suffering, they want relief. That's why it is called mukti. It means freedom from distress or miseries. Liberation means they got liberated.
I can't understand how one can pretend to do bhakti to achieve Brahman.
No,
The
they don't.
very thing is based on cheating it.
No, they don't pretend. They only use this as a
Yeah,
means.
but there is a thing of cheating it because they know they're not going to stick to bhakti.
Yeah. They know it that they will not stick.
So how can that work? I mean,
No, it works. It works because of the grace of bhakti. I mean, you are right. Really speaking, it should not work because bhakti is not foolish. Bhakti knows that the guy is wanting something else. But it is described that because bhakti is very, large-hearted, and she understands that, okay, this person wants to use me for this, I allow it.
Just closing an eye.
Yeah. So she herself allows this.
And this Swayam Mukti is something permanent,
Yes.
eternal,
Eternal.
so there is no
Every mukti is eternal, otherwise it is not mukti.
Okay. So that means that this type of soul will be permanently there, eternally.
That's what mukti means.
But there are different types of mukti, like there is the Samyucha mukti, and then there is another one.
There are 5 types.
Right? So my question was actually, why exactly goes a person from that? What is the
Why?
what is the motive? Why would the person?
Because he is not interested in doing in service, but he wants freedom from misery. So this is the only Madhyam Pantha, Madhyam Nikaya. One is suffering in the material world, and one is in the spiritual world, but you serve there. And one is in between, no suffering, no service.
Oneness normally also involves a type of love.
No, there is no love. Love means two. Here there is no two. That's why it is called Advaita, no two. Dvaita means two and A means not. No two.
So then what is the sense of oneness?
And then what is the sense?
They are not two anymore.
No, there are two, but there is no consciousness of two-ness.
Okay.
You don't become God, you don't become Brahman. But you feel that you are one with it.
Okay.
But that one is not out of love. Because if you are out of love, then you want to serve. You don't want to just stick there. So this is not this oneness out of love.
Regarding seva, sometimes it's difficult to do seva because of certain circumstances, and then you suffer with your body, and it becomes like hell actually. So is it then it's better not to do it, or just continue it? Because sometimes you have to really do it because there's nobody else to do it.
Then you have to do it.
So then it becomes little. Then seva is miserable.
But if you meditate that I am doing it for the pleasure of the Lord, then you will not suffer. Then you will actually become strong when you do it without suffering. Because actually suffering is in the mind. It's not anywhere else. It's a concept in the mind. You don't like to do something, even a simple thing, if you have to go from here and walk to another place and you really don't want to go, and that itself is a suffering. But if you want to jog in the other direction, you will happily jog. You may go on the treadmill and jog for half an hour. Like, so it's mainly in the mind.
So I have a question about this, when the heart is contracting and the heart is expanding. As you said that by at least hearing about the Lord and performing devotional service, the heart is expanding.
You don't feel that?
Yeah.
So what is the question? It is confirmed. You can experience this. It's not something that it is out of our intelligence to experience. We can all experience that if you hear nice Krishna Katha, you feel blissful, your heart is expanding.
And also we can also experience when there is some bad qualities and tension or anxiety, the heart becomes
Somebody says one word to you and you are agitated.
So this contracting is because of ego.
Yes. Pride.